A wild Cora! Poke Fruit, go! Pesterball! Almost ready. Just one more thing.
Wonderful. Wait. Welcome back.
Pokemon. Oh snap! In case you're ignorant of good things, or you're like 12 years old? Wow, that's weird. Pokemon Snap is a spin-off game in the Pokemon franchise that came out for the N64 way back in 1999. The game is an on-rails type game, but instead of shooting zombies, you're shooting snapshots of Pokemon. And it's actually really cute and fun, and probably my favorite Pokemon spin-off game, and maybe even my favorite N64 game in general. So let's dive in. This game is delightful, right off the bat. Or should I say Zubat? You get to see just how joyous this game really is. You get an idea of the island on the title screen and its different environments, and then at the stage select, these two guys just stand there dancing. There's no antagonist in this game, no story to bog you down, just a sense of exploration and discovery and taking pictures of Pokemon. And that's perfect. This is one of my favorite games to just sit down and play for an afternoon because you get to jump right in and enjoy it. Pokemon Snap is a really concise experience too, which in some ways kind of sucks, but in other ways it's great. You can just sit down and beat it with no big commitment or learning curve or anything. I don't even know how many times I've beaten this game or gone back to try and improve my scores, and I've never gotten sick of it. It takes a special type of game to achieve that, especially when it's as simple a game as this one is.
Well done.
The first level is a happy little beach level. You're shown what to do in the first 5 seconds, and then they just let you go for it. All you have at first is the ability to take pictures of Pokemon, but you progressively get more tools to help you out. You get the Poke Fruit, the Pesterball, the Poke Flute, and finally, the Dash Engine. It's cool because while these things aren't exactly difficult to use, progressing it this way lets you figure out each tool fully before moving on to the next. And you're guaranteed to go through levels that have uses for these items before you acquire them. Like look, you can't wake up Snorlax because you don't have anything to throw at him. And you can't open the Articuno egg because you don't have the Poke Flute. I like that because it gives you a reason to go back and play levels multiple times. You'll remember there was something you couldn't do, and then when you get the new item, you'll go back and see what gets unlocked. This can be kind of exciting if it's your first time playing. As a kid, I was always excited to discover a Pokemon I didn't know I could get a picture of before. There was always this mystery like, huh, why are these Jinx just sitting there by that egg? What's going on in those bushes? What is that? All of this just adds to the sense of discovery that the game is trying to convey. You can combine the ways you use the items too, which makes the progression of them even more fun. Like look at these Charmanders. This might be my favorite thing to do in the entire game. You get the Poke Fruit pretty early on in the game, right before the volcano level, so you're going to be experimenting with it. When the Moltres egg stops you, you get as long as you want to look at the cute little precious angel Charmander. Aww. And since the apple is new, you're probably going to be throwing it all over the place, so it's really likely you'll throw it at this Charmander your first time through. And just look at it. More Charmanders running over the hill. Aww. And when you get the Pesterball, you can make them all angry at you. And later, when you get the Poke Flute, they'll just dance for you in unison. It's awesome. you'll play through levels multiple times just to see what the game allows you to do, like with the Charmanders. The last item you get is the dash engine, which is pretty useful, albeit less fun than the other items. It serves the practical function of moving more quickly through the levels. Like, look how fast I can get through the tunnel level. Just so fast. So swift. Though I found that in order to end levels really quickly, it's generally just faster to use up all your film. Look at this Rugrats font. It's like it was written by Tommy Pickles. Each level has a sort of story to it, with things like certain Pokemon following you throughout the level, like Meowth here on this beach level, or with certain actions triggering later actions, like this Magikarp evolving into Gyarados on the Valley level. It makes each level feel really alive and unique. Like in the cave level, you'll get to the end and maybe see an empty stage, or else like 1 or 2 Jigglypuffs. But that can't be right. How do I get a full jammin' set of Jigglypuffs? So then you'll go back, try to figure it out, and realize that there are Coughings chasing after those little guys, and you gotta pesterball them away. It's pretty neat, even if it's the same thing every time. I always feel like I'm coming into the natural environment of these Pokemon, and they get all curious about what I'm up to, so they follow me around. Or, in the case of the Jigglypuffs, I'm seeing a negative natural interaction, and I get to make everyone happier. Except for that Coughing. Again, there's that motif of discovery that's so ever-present throughout the entire game. At the end of each level, you'll be taken to the Pokemon lab to select which pictures you think were the best. You'll then show them to Professor Oak, who will critique them based on his arbitrary scoring system. Basically, you'll want the Pokemon to be large, front-facing, and centered, and you'll want the whole thing in the shot. Does Professor Oak have no sense of art? Whatever. It's cool. I guess this is practical for like science and cataloging or whatever.
Well done.
Nerd. Once you've taken a bunch of pictures, Professor Oak will give you the ever-exciting task of taking pictures of hidden Pokemon signs. Yay. These signs are meh, whatever, but the real treat is what happens once you find them all. You unlock the secret Cloud Sky Paradise level and get to take a picture of Mew. This blew my mind as a kid. It's the closest thing to a boss battle you'll see in the game, and it's a neat little prize for seeing the game to the end. Now, Pokemon Snap's premise is really simple, but it's the presentation that keeps things interesting. Figuring out just how to get the best picture of any given Pokemon is really satisfying. Each level has tons of secrets waiting to be uncovered, and you're always wondering what item you'll get next that'll allow you to uncover even more of these secrets. There's just this mega rad sense that this island is somewhat uncharted and you're the explorer getting shots of Pokemon in their natural environment like no one else has ever gotten before. It's awesome, and I can't think of another game quite like it, or even a franchise that could do it as well as Pokemon. I just love it. I just love this game. I just love this game. Okay, now that I've talked about all the things I love about this game, let's look at what doesn't quite work. There isn't a lot of bad stuff necessarily, just stuff that could be really improved upon. Like, yeah, it's really short and there aren't a lot of Pokemon, but that works for the game in some ways, giving it that concise experience I mentioned already. And I don't exactly know how limited they were by the N64 when they made this game, but I'm sure that had something to do with it. They couldn't just make a gigantic world with every Pokemon. So most of the shortcomings seem to be most likely related to hardware issues, and I can't really fault them for that. The levels are the same every time, but I'm mostly okay with it because they do give you other incentives to revisit levels, and they're so cute to begin with, it never really bothers me. And the way you interact with the level does change the way in which things are presented. Oh, I guess what I'm trying to say is, this game is perfect in every way. Yeah, like, okay, they could add more stuff, or they can make the levels more dynamic or something, but I don't know if any of that stuff actually hurts this game at all. I think my biggest complaint then would have to be the flawed rating system. It's incredibly restrictive in what it deems a good picture. Like sure, you can save your favorite pictures, but it would be neat if the rating system were a little bit more complex. And I don't even just mean accounting for so-called artistic shots. Even with the system of large, front-facing, and keeping the whole Pokemon in the frame, there are problems. The difference between shots often seems arbitrary, which can be frustrating if you think you took a great picture. And I also don't get why Professor Oak won't rate each category if you score too low in an earlier one. It seems like it would be better to just get points for each category no matter what. Again, I don't know how limited they were by the N64's capabilities, so maybe a more complex system simply wasn't possible. And it's really a minor complaint at best. If this came out today, I might have higher standards, but as it is, part of the fun can sometimes be fighting the flawed scoring system. That could, however, be the overwhelming sense of nostalgic joy I feel towards this game, and it is a definite thing they would have to fix in a sequel. Which brings me to my next point of discussion. The infinite potential of a Pokemon Snap 2! With all the Pokemon they have now, a sequel to this game could be at least 1.5 times more awesome than the original. Imagine taking pictures of everyone's favorite Pokemon, Finneon. How have we gone this long without taking Finneon pictures? And just imagine the number of fully fleshed out levels they could fit into a Pokemon Snap 2. I'm a big fan of how they use an island for the first game, and I could totally see them making an entire chain of islands in the sequel, each with different environments and Pokemon and legendaries and stuff like that. Like how Mew functioned as a sort of boss to the first game, a new legendary could be the boss of each island in the chain, sort of like how levels are broken up in the new Luigi's Mansion. There is an endless amount of potential, and while they hit a bunch of the standard go-to environments in the original, they haven't even scratched the surface yet. We kind of got this in the tunnel level, but imagine a fully industrial level with all of the human-created Pokemon. Or a foresty level that just keeps going deeper and deeper, eventually leading to maybe a haunted, spooky woods section for ghost types. There's just so much they could do. And these are just ideas off the top of my head. This video isn't scripted. I'd also be interested to see what new items could be introduced in the sequel. I'd love to see all of the original items make a return, but who knows what they could come up with. Imagine branching paths, including secret ones, that result from using an item on something in a level. Every level in the original was a straight shot, and branching paths is something that would be really fun to implement in a sequel. It would give levels even more replay value if there were various ways to experience each one. Another idea I had was for random encounters. Like what if roaming legendaries could be seen in any level running in the background? Like you're taking a picture of Pikachu and then whoa, look, it's Entei! Or what if shiny Pokemon were a thing in the sequel? Maybe more common than in the main games, but still rare enough that it'd be a treat to find them. The idea of having over 700 Pokemon to take pictures of is so cool to me. However, I wouldn't expect or even really want every single Pokemon, but to even get a few hundred over the original's count of 63 would be more than enough. Nerds are always complaining about the lack of a Pokemon presence on home consoles, and Nintendo has made it pretty clear that we're not getting a proper console Pokemon RPG anytime soon. Or like, ever. So what could possibly satisfy our home console Pokemon needs? Certainly not Pokemon Battle Blasters over here. Why not Pokemon Snap 2? I mean, we have the perfect hardware for it now. Look at this. The Wii U was practically made for Pokemon Snap 2, what with that fancy schmancy Wii U gamepad. I mean, look at how fun this could be on the Wii U gamepad. I can't believe Nintendo made an Uncharted card game. The 3DS would also be great for Pokemon Snap. Things like augmented reality and the gyroscope are made for this kind of game. I'm sure the best way to play would probably still be traditional controls, but it'd be fun to have the option of doing things like this. All in all, Pokemon Snap, one of my favorite games of all time. Just a great game all around. Really, the only reason I can think you wouldn't want to play this game is if you just hate the premise. Or, you know, if you hate, like, joy or having fun. If you haven't played this game, go out and play this game. If you don't like this game, get better opinions. And I really hope we get a sequel to this game. And if not, it'll stand in time as a golden game. to define a generation. So thanks for watching my video. There's definitely more where that came from coming soon, so just go ahead, click that old subscribe button down there, and yeah, you'll see some new stuff coming out soon. In the meantime, I've got a welcome to my channel video to tell you a little bit about what I'm going to be doing on this channel, so there you go. Go ahead, give that a click. Why not? Just click.